YouTube, but just in life in general, people think that art has an age. People think that they make excuses to not be creative. Okay, I'm gonna go down the line of so many excuses that I have heard throughout the years, whether that is people I've actually met, my friends, other artists that I go to conventions with or anything, or just people I've met, and just stuff that I've heard even online. So I'm not good enough. I can't draw like that. I'm not creative. They're more talented. Okay, first of all, when it comes to art, talent and creativity are subjective, okay? What you need to know, if you're calling yourself not good enough, that simply means you're not putting in the time to work, okay? When you start out, you're not a genius, okay? You don't just create this stuff out of nowhere, okay? People really put in the work. I've been putting in the work for 16 years behind the scenes, People work from behind the scenes. So, just because if you see like your favorite YouTuber and they're super amazing, don't think that's how they started, because no one starts out as amazing. Art is a journey, okay? Drawing is a journey. You learn through the process. It's more about the process actually than the journey. But it's like you're going on a trip, and then you just learn so much on this trip, and you just continue going on this trip. It's almost like a lifelong trip. I don't really feel like anyone perfects their craft or masters their craft. When it comes to what good and bad art is, quote, quote, I feel like that is very subjective, and to determine what that is, people basically put a name on how they think your art is, okay? So you don't say, I make good art as an artist, right? You don't say that. People tell you if your art is good or not, right? Because you make it, you're a creative outlet, right? So what you're creating is how the public is perceiving you when you put it out there. What the feedback that they're giving you, like, oh, your art is blah, 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 doesn't necessarily make it true, but that is the feedback that they're giving you, and it's up to you to decide if they're correct or not. Sometimes people could completely be bullshitting you and they don't know what the fuck they're talking about, right? So when it comes to I can't draw like that, it's like, well, have you tried to draw like that? Have you studied? Exactly. So don't make excuses before you even start, okay? I'm not creative. They're more talented. Well, they weren't talented when they first started, but they built up their talent, okay? I don't really believe inborn talent, okay? I believe that if someone is talented, like if someone is talented with music and they're 3 years old and they could play the piano, like, I don't believe that. No, you need practice. When it comes to a craft, when it comes to art, when it comes to creating something, you need a steady hand, and that takes practice, okay? You're gonna hear me say this throughout the video, because people think that you can just wake up and be an artist, and that's not how it fucking works. If you want anything in life, you're gonna have to work for it. So in terms of creativity, that depends on if you're going to allow yourself to be creative, because you restrict yourself, you restrict your own creativity. If you have these ideas that pop up in your head but you don't act on them, they're kind of just sitting, floating in some stale water, like a water bottle, how like if you leave it in the car it's all stale and warm and shit. Those are your ideas. They're just floating, and they're just like, well, I guess we're gonna just keep floating in this disgusting ass water, right? So your art and your ideas and your creativity, they need you to practice so you can learn to visually express them in the manner that you feel, okay? And this is not just drawing. This is all kinds of art. This is architecture, okay? This is video game design. This can even be computer programming. I mean, that's a kind of art to me. That's something that is just completely different, right? Concept art, it could be editing videos, whatever it is. Another big one is I'm too old for art, or I saw this 7-year-old draw better than I am. Okay, well, my first question is, how much time did you put into your work than the 7-year-old? Because I guarantee you the 7-year-old put more time into their craft than you did. You kind of got to take accountability when you're talking about you're too old for art. You got to be asking yourself, well, have I been practicing and have I actually been putting in the effort to get better? The answer is no. You have no excuse. Now you know you're just using your age for an excuse, because art has no age. Just because you're 8 years old and you create a masterpiece doesn't mean that, look at, I'm 28 and this 8-year-old is better than me. Well, no. You're 28, but you haven't really done shit with your creativity, okay? That's not, come on. Yeah, blah, 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 okay? Next is, I don't have enough time. I mean, I've used this excuse before, and I used it because I knew it was an excuse, and I used it because I wanted to not do shit. So, I don't have enough time. Okay, I get it. Time is finite, okay? But you create time. You create how much time you want to give to something. You have priorities. So, if your art is not a priority in your life, well, it's just simply not a priority in your life, okay? It's not a big deal. But if you're using that as an excuse to not create, no. Time is relative, okay? No one is saying you have to spend 6 hours on a piece, okay? 30 minutes, 5 minutes, doodle and sketching. Just working on your creativity, okay? No one said you had to create a fucking masterpiece, but just put in some time, just put in the time to your craft. And I get people working and having to make a living and needing to feed their children and stuff like that. I mean, I'm all for that, okay? But don't make excuses, because excuses get old and people can see through that shit, okay? Excuses get old, okay? They really do. So it's not that you have enough time, it's just that you're not prioritizing that. So instead of not having enough time, maybe you need to look at your priorities more. And if you do want to include your art, in that, then just schedule maybe 5-10 minutes to draw or whatever it is that you like to create. Edit videos, create videos, just put in that time. And, as you keep going, throughout the months and the weeks or whatever, you're going to see some progress. I'm a perfectionist. Okay. And that's not an excuse not to finish. I noticed throughout the year, especially at my art school, like the teacher would ask them, like, how come your homework isn't done? How come you haven't completed this? And man, 7 out of 10, 8 out of 10 people would be like, well, I'm a perfectionist, so it wasn't coming out the way I want. And the teacher would literally look at them like they're fucking stupid. And I was looking at them like, oh my god, I can't believe they just said that. To me, perfectionism with art equals stiff. You're stiff. There's no fluidity. There's no movement. You're more focused on controlling your art than actually creating art. Okay, so I understand artists are perfectionists. So there's two different definitions, okay? I think you should be an imperfect perfectionist, if that makes sense. First of all, perfection does not make sense. The word perfect, I can't stand that fucking word. That word makes no sense, because humans are created imperfect. We have flaws, we have weaknesses, and we are all just dysfunctional fuckers, okay? We're all fucked up. So to create something perfect from a being that's imperfect, that makes no sense. I don't like the term perfect, and I hate it when people use it. So when it comes to perfection in art, no, when you're drawing and you're constantly erasing a hand, or you're constantly erasing, and you're not really progressing with your image, you're just being a control freak. Okay? Don't use the excuse of perfectionism as you not feeling confident in what you're drawing. That means to me you need to study more. You need to see more references, okay? You need to start practicing more. If you're constantly erasing what you're drawing, you're not really sure what it is you want to do, okay? Don't use the perfection as an excuse. Sometimes, to me, perfection as an excuse can also be you're too afraid to put something out there in the world, right? Because to you, it doesn't look perfect. What you mean is, it doesn't look the way you want it to look, because you haven't necessarily put in the time for it to look the way you want to look, okay? When people say draw what you see, or when you hear that term draw what you see, like my fucking art teacher in high school, that's probably the only good thing she taught me. Draw what you see in reality. Okay, that's really what she sounded like. But it's true. And I think it took me maybe 5 or 6 years to actually draw the image in my head accurately enough that when I was actually drawing it, I was like, oh, this is exactly what I saw in my head. That's a skill. That's something you have to just work at, because I would get so frustrated. I would draw, it would look so good in my head, and I'm like, oh, this is bomb, I'm gonna fucking draw this, and start doing it. And, you know, in the middle of the process, I'm just like, I don't, this is trash. I don't like this. God damn it. Fuck. You know, and I'd just be all upset. But, you know, I had to be patient with myself. And as I kept doing it, you know, I was seeing little by little, oh, this is the image I had in my head. Or sometimes it'll exceed the image that you have in your head, okay? And you can't be afraid to put yourself out there as an artist. If you do want to get noticed, you just got to put your work out there. I mean, the worst thing people could tell you is that your art sucks. And then you could be like, well, fuck you, because I put in more time in my art than you do your life. Okay. Just burn. Just kidding. But you know, yeah, I mean, what's the worst that can happen? Seriously, what is the worst that can happen? It's not that you're going to like die or anything like that, right? You're just putting your work out there. And you know, some people are scared what other people think. And to them, I say, fuck those people. So what? People are always going to be hating regardless of what it is. So, you know, don't be afraid of what people are going to think. And the nice thing about this really big world with billions of people is that there will be at least one person that is going to like your work. Even if it is the most weirdest, bizarre shit you've ever created, I guarantee you there's one person that's going to be like, I like that. You know why? Because there's a market for everything. There's a market for everything. So don't feel like you're abandoned or an outsider and no one's going to like your work. Well, no one's going to like your work if you don't put it out there, if you're not giving people the opportunity to assess it, okay? And another thing is, you're not believing in yourself enough. So I know this sounds cliche as fuck and no one wants to hear the cliche stuff, but you know, cliche stuff has some truth to it. That's why it became cliche. You really have to believe in the work you're putting out, because let me tell you, when you put out work and you don't believe in it, people could sense that shit. They will look at it and feel nothing, okay? They will feel like they're staring at a wall and they're licking cardboard, okay? Because if you have no passion, people could feel that. That's energy you're putting out there. Art and creativity is energy. When you put heart and passion into your work, you can sense, people can sense that. They sense that energy that you've instilled in this image by how the image looks, okay? But if you don't believe in yourself, you're gonna create work that is kind of like, it's very like, what is this? What am I looking at, right? Or lackadaisical, like it's flat. There's not much going on, you know? So, well, that doesn't mean that, you know, if you create work that is bland, that means that you don't believe in yourself. Because, I mean, you could have put all the effort and all the time into it, right? That just means that you just have to improve more, okay? You just have to have more of a critical eye and look at your work more critically and be like, how can I push this, you know? What am I avoiding to not make this pop, okay? So, you know, those are the kind of things that I feel that really help you in terms of improving your art. And those are just the excuses I just can't stand. And I don't ever say these excuses because, I mean, don't get me wrong, I said all this shit. That's why I'm able to, you know, catch it. But it's just time, okay? Art has no age. It doesn't matter how old you are. You could create whatever you want. We are creative beings. We were meant to create, okay? Everything that we touch, everything in our house, when we get in our car, all that was created, okay? All that was designed. All that is creativity. All that is art. So art has no age. So don't believe in, you know, don't believe in those excuses that, oh, I'm too old for this. No, you're not. You're too old if you want to be too old, okay? Right? You create your reality. So if you tell yourself you're not creative, then I guess you're not creative. If you tell yourself that, you know, you're talented and you deserve the best, then you do, okay? You create your reality, okay? And so don't make excuses and just get those ideas out there, because if your ideas could talk and if they were alive, they'd probably be banging on your door like, why are you ignoring me? Why are you ignoring me? It's been a week. You've been thinking about the same shit. Come on, get out of here, you know. They would probably like drag your ass out and like, come on, create me, god damn it. I deserve to be created. Well, that's all I got. That's my rant for today. Draw, be happy, create work, don't make excuses. Just get that shit done and put in the effort, and I'm sure you'll surprise yourself. All right, well, until next time, see ya.